The Sony A200 came in the mail today. I got this for $53 from Robert's Camera on eBay. That's actually where I buy a lot of used cameras that you see on this channel here. Anyway, let's go for a walk around the neighborhood, take some pictures, and see what we think about this 14-year-old DSLR. Now, in terms of lenses, I got the Sony 18-70 f3.5 to 5.6, got the Minolta 50mm f1.7, and I got the Minolta 70 to 210mm f4.5 to 5.6. Now, unfortunately, the telephoto lens isn't the lens that I meant to get. I meant to get the 70 to 210 f4 with the constant aperture, the infamous beer can lens. You know, the seller had my lens listed as f4. It's my fault, you know, I mean, I bought that lens in a hurry. I wasn't really paying attention. I just glanced at it, saw that it said f4, said, sure, okay. It's only 30 bucks. But I do think I'm gonna go ahead and buy the actual beer can lens also, because I want that constant f4 aperture. You know, and that's one thing that takes me to my first big point about the A mount. There are so many genuinely good lenses for so cheap. Every single lens that I bought cost $30 or less. I mean, you're not gonna find that on other modern camera systems. The sensor on this camera is a 10.1 megapixel CCD sensor. You guys that watch this channel know I've always been a huge fan of CCD sensors. I kind of wish we were still using them now instead of CMOS. It's interesting, the Sony A100 has the same sensor as the Nikon D200. I can confirm that, but I can't confirm whether the A200 has the same sensor as the Nikon D200. You know, the most I can find is people just sort of debating the topic on forums like 14 years ago. You know, some people saying, I think the A200 is the same sensor as the A100, and other people arguing, no, the A200's 2 years newer, it's gotta be a newer sensor. They're both 10.1 megapixel CCD sensors, so it seems like they might be the same, but unfortunately, I can't find any concrete confirmation that they really are the same sensor. So most I can say is, at a cursory glance, just kind of looking at the images from the A200, they do actually look pretty similar to the Nikon D200 images. Oh, you know, the ergonomics are a little bit weird on this camera. The grip is one of those grips that's kind of pinchy. Kind of made like if you had pirate hooks for hands. But on top of that, the lens mount is really close by, so when you're holding onto the camera, literally your fingers are just kind of mashed in between the grip and the lens mount. I don't have huge hands or anything. I mean, I just have normal sized hands, and even my hands are kind of squished in there. You know, it's not a deal breaker, but it is just kind of something weird that's worth noting. I've got the autofocus in the regular mode that just uses all the autofocus points. Something interesting that I notice is it almost always refuses to use the center autofocus point, even when the subject is kind of very obviously right there in the center of the frame. It'll still keep trying to choose to the left or the right of that. Won't just choose the center. You know, and at first, I thought it was because I was using those Minolta lenses, but then I switched to the Sony lens, and I mean, that's the kit lens that comes with this camera. It still does it even with that kit lens. I don't know if other people who have A200s have that problem, but I've definitely noticed mine doing that. You know, and speaking of autofocus, the A200 has this really cool feature that's called like eye detect autofocus or something like that, whatever the real name is, it's right here. It's not eye detect like you think of in a modern sense where it's detecting the subject's eye. Now what it means is when you put your face up close to the optical viewfinder, it starts focusing for you. You don't even have to put your finger on the shutter button and it already starts focusing. Do you guys watch Snappiness? It's a channel on YouTube that's like kind of similar to this one in that there's like a focus on a lot of older cameras and stuff. I was watching a while back and James mentioned that the funny thing about collecting old cameras is you get a sense of what other people's houses smell like. I can attest that that is 110% true. As far as I can tell, whoever used to own this camera before me has been chain smoking for like the last 20 or 30,000 years. Every time I put the camera up to my eye to take a picture, it feels like putting your face in an ashtray. And the thing is too, like I'm kind of germ phobic. Like when I get a new camera in, I actually clean everything down really well. This has been cleaned like 2 or 3 times now, and I cannot get rid of that cigarette smoke. So I know I'm always an advocate for like buying used cameras over like new cameras, but for those of you who are new to it, you might want to keep that in mind. That is one of the unfortunate downsides of buying used cameras. You know, I noticed when I was taking some of these like palm tree pictures right over here, I was using the Minolta 70 to 210 and I was zoomed all the way into 210 millimeters. Looking through the viewfinder when you're zoomed in that tight, any little bit of body movement, you know, what you're seeing, your field of view is just moving all around. But every picture was really sharp and really clear, and so I get the sense that that steady shot actually works really well on this camera. You know, I haven't got a chance to test it in low light, but just seeing it at these like longer focal lengths, it seems pretty good. The other thing I find interesting is when I do these types of like reviews or first impressions videos, I try to shoot a lot of JPEGs so you guys can see what it looks like just straight out of camera. So while I was doing that, I started going through all the picture profiles, and it has all the profiles that you would expect, like standard, vivid, sunset, which is basically just the white balance cranked all the way up to like 7,000, black and white. But the one that I found kind of interesting was it has an Adobe RGB setting. Once I found that setting, I started using that mostly for just about like the remainder of the video was just all shot in that Adobe RGB profile. It was interesting to me because I can't remember a camera, and like all the cameras that I have, I can't think of any other camera that has that Adobe RGB setting. Some of you guys watching this probably clicked on the video because you have an A200 or you have like another Sony A-mount DSLR. Let me know in the comments because I can't think of another time that I've seen Adobe RGB as a picture profile. But overall, the experience with the A200 has been really positive. You know, I've enjoyed this a lot, and really, I enjoy like the look of this 10 megapixel CCD sensor. I mean, you just can't beat the images coming out of this camera. The A200 is kind of funny for me because it's like, it's one of those cameras that I didn't know that I needed it, but once I have it, I can't live without it. I think that's how much I enjoy this camera. Anyway, I think that's all I got for today, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.